My name is Linda J. Christopher. I'm 27 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I truly believe my life was exactly where it was supposed to be. I used to think love was something you could build like a house, brick by brick, day by day, until one day you stood back and admired everything you had created together. 4 years with Ethan Walker felt like that. Solid, intentional, real. We had been engaged for 8 months, planning a wedding for June, arguing over cake flavors and whether we wanted a live band or a DJ, like those arguments actually mattered. I work remotely as a financial analyst, which means I'm home most of the time. I always believed that gave us an advantage. I could be present, supportive, available whenever he needed me. Ethan, on the other hand, worked at a boutique marketing firm downtown. He was ambitious, structured, the kind of man who had his entire future mapped out in spreadsheets and color-coded calendars. That was one of the first things that drew me to him when we met at a mutual friend's barbecue 4 years ago. He told me that night he wanted to run his own agency someday, and I believed him without hesitation. Looking back now, I think the cracks started forming long before I was willing to see them. It was mid-February when things began to shift. Subtle at first, almost easy to dismiss. The first time he canceled was dinner with my parents. "Something came up at work," he said, his voice soft, apologetic. My mom had spent hours making his favorite lasagna. I remember staring at the empty chair across from me, forcing a smile while she pretended not to be disappointed. Then came our usual Friday movie night. The team needs me to stay late for a pitch. I had already bought the tickets, picked up his favorite snacks. I ended up sitting alone in that dark theater, the seat beside me untouched, the silence louder than the movie itself. But then it stopped feeling like coincidence. February 18th. I can't make it to your sister's birthday. Client emergency. My sister had specifically asked if Ethan was coming. She wanted to share her own engagement news that night, and she had been excited for him to be there. February 24th. I have something important to do tonight. We had reservations at a new restaurant with a 3-month waiting list. I remember checking my phone over and over, rereading his message like the words might change if I stared long enough. March 3rd. Can we reschedule? I'm swamped. That was supposed to be our anniversary dinner. I had bought him a watch, engraved, something permanent. March the 10th. I can't come today. I have something important to handle. That one hurt the most. It was supposed to be our engagement photo shoot. We had booked the photographer 3 months in advance, paid a deposit, picked out outfits, even argued over which park had the best lighting. Ethan called me 2 hours before we were supposed to meet. "I'm really sorry," he said, "but something came up. I just can't make it today." I remember gripping my phone so tightly my fingers went numb. "Ethan, we scheduled this months ago." "I know. I'll cover the cancellation fee. I have something really important I need to handle." "More important than us?" There was a pause, a silence that felt heavier than any answer. "That's not fair," he said finally. "You know how stressful work has been." "What's going on?" I asked. "You've been distant for weeks." "I'm just stressed, Linda, that's it." His tone had that edge to it, the kind that shuts doors instead of opening them. And like an idiot, I let it go. I rescheduled the shoot, told myself it was just a rough patch, that relationships go through phases, that love meant being patient. But deep down, something in me had already started to break. That night, around 9, I was half paying attention to a show when my phone buzzed. It was Chloe. "Hey, weird question. Is Ethan okay? Like, with you?" I frowned. "Yeah, why?" "I just saw someone who looked exactly like him going into the Heights apartments on Westbrook." My heart skipped. The Heights apartments. I knew that place. Sophie lived there. His ex. "She's working late," I typed back quickly. "Are you sure it was him?" "Pretty sure," Chloe replied. "He was with someone. Tall woman, dark hair. They went into the south building. Look, I don't want to start anything, but I thought you should know." I stared at the message for what felt like hours. Part of me wanted to call him immediately, demand answers, force the truth out into the open. But another part of me, the quieter, colder part, told me to wait, to think. Except I couldn't think. I didn't sleep that night. Every canceled plan replayed in my head like a broken record, every excuse, every moment I chose to trust instead of question. At 3 a.m, I did something I never thought I would do. I logged into our shared credit card account. My hands were shaking as the transactions loaded. February 18th, Mario's Italian Beastro. February 24th, The Wine House. March 3rd, Mario's Italian Beastro again. Mario's was our place, or at least I thought it was. We hadn't been there together in months. And the Wine House, It was just a few blocks from the Heights apartments. I felt sick. The next morning, Ethan texted me like nothing had happened. "Good morning. Sorry about yesterday. I'll make it up to you this weekend." I stared at the message, my chest tight. Part of me wanted to confront him right then, but I needed proof. Real proof. So I made a decision. I ordered flowers. Not just any flowers, white lilies, his favorite. I had them delivered to his office that afternoon with a simple typed card tucked inside. "I know about Sophie. We need to talk." No name, no signature. If he was innocent, he'd be confused. If he wasn't... My phone rang 30 minutes later. "Did you send me flowers?" Ethan's voice was sharp, panicked. "No," I said calmly. "Why?" "Someone sent me flowers with this weird card and I just..." He trailed off, his breathing uneven. "What did the card say?" "Nothing. Just some stupid prank." But his voice was trembling. "Ethan," I said softly, "what's going on?" "Nothing. I have to go." He hung up, and for the first time in 4 years, I realized I didn't recognize the man I was about to marry. That night, he didn't come home. Ethan texted me around 7 that evening and said he was staying at his friend Natalie's apartment because he needed space to think. I didn't argue. I didn't beg him to come home. The truth was, I was relieved not to see his face until I knew exactly how deep this went. Instead, I called Chloe and asked her to tell me everything again, slowly this time, every detail she could remember. She sounded guilty, like she wished she had never seen anything at all, but she told me anyway. Ethan had been wearing the navy jacket I bought him for Christmas. He was laughing. Not the polite kind of laugh he gave coworkers or family. A real one. Easy, comfortable. He had his hand resting on a woman's lower back as they walked into the building. Chloe never got a clear look at her face, but tall, dark hair, elegant coat. It was enough. Sophie fit the outline too perfectly. After I hung up, I sat in the apartment for a long time, listening to the quiet like it was trying to warn me about something. Then I noticed his laptop on the dining table. He had left in such a rush that morning he forgot it. For a few minutes, I just stared at it. I knew opening it would cross a line. I knew once I did, there would be no going back to denial. No soft version of the truth left to hide inside. But I was already standing in the ruins of something. Privacy felt like a luxury people in honest relationships got to keep. His email was still open. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through his inbox until I found a thread from 3 weeks earlier. The subject line read, "So good hearing from you again." It was from Sophie. The first messages were careful, harmless on the surface. She congratulated him on the engagement. He thanked her. She asked how life had been. He said busy, but good. Then the tone changed. The emails got longer, warmer, personal. They started talking about old trips, old restaurants, private jokes that belonged to another life, another version of him that I suddenly realized had never fully died. Then I found the message dated February 16th. Sophie wrote, "We should catch up in person sometime. Coffee?" Ethan replied, "I'd like that." February 18th. The night he missed my sister's birthday, there was another message from her. "Last night was amazing. I forgot how easy this feels with you." My stomach twisted before I even opened his response. "I missed this too, more than I expected." I covered my mouth with my hand, but it didn't stop the sound that came out of me. It was too broken to be called a sob, too raw to be called anything else. The emails kept going. Drinks became dinner. Dinner became private meetings. Private meetings became him going to her apartment just to see the place. On March 10th, the day of our engagement shoot, Sophie wrote, "Still good for 7 tonight?" Ethan answered with a heart. A heart. Such a small thing, one stupid symbol, and somehow it shattered me more than all the sentences before it. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark for what felt like forever. Around me was the life we had built together. The framed photos, the wedding binder on the shelf, fabric swatches for the bridesmaids' dresses, notes about guest seating. A future arranged so carefully it felt almost cruel now. I didn't cry right away. I just felt hollow, like my body understood before my mind did that something permanent had just been taken from me. Ethan came back the next afternoon. The second he walked through the door, I could see it in the way his eyes moved. Quick, nervous. He looked like a man entering a room where he already knew something terrible was waiting for him. "We need to talk," he said. "Yeah," I answered. "We do." He sat down on the edge of the couch, his shoulders tight, his hands clasped together. That card freaked me out. "What card?" I asked, keeping my voice level. He swallowed. "The one with the flowers. Someone knows, or thinks they know." "Thinks they know what, Ethan?" His jaw tightened. Nothing. It was probably some stupid prank. He still wasn't looking at me. I reached for my phone, opened the credit card statement, and turned the screen toward him. Mario's February 18th. You told me you were working late. The color drained from his face. I kept going. The Wine House, March 3rd. You canceled our anniversary dinner. He ran a hand over his mouth. Linda, I read the emails. That did it. Whatever lie he had been preparing died on his face before it reached his mouth. The silence between us felt violent. You've been seeing Sophie for a month, I said. My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated that he got to hear it. He shut his eyes. When he opened them again, they were full of tears. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I laughed, and the sound that came out was cold enough to scare even me. How was it supposed to happen, Ethan? You marry me while secretly falling back in love with your ex. He flinched. I wasn't trying to hurt you. No, you were just doing it anyway. He leaned forward then, desperate, like he thought sincerity might save him now. She reached out, and we started talking, and it felt familiar. I got confused. Confused? I stood up so fast the coffee table shook. You got confused about whether you wanted to marry me? He looked down. That was worse than if he had shouted. We didn't sleep together, he whispered. I stared at him. Do you actually think that makes this better? He had no answer. And right there, in the wreckage of all his excuses, I finally understood the ugliest part of it. He had not been choosing between two loves. He had been keeping me in place while he tested whether the past still wanted him back. Get out, I said. His head snapped up. Linda, please. Get out. He didn't argue this time. For a second, it looked like he wanted to. Like there were still words sitting on the edge of his tongue, waiting to be said. Excuses or apologies or something in between. But whatever fight he had left in him disappeared when he saw my face. I think that was the moment he realized there was nothing left to fix. He nodded slowly, like he was accepting something final, then stood up and walked toward the bedroom. I didn't follow him. I stayed exactly where I was, arms crossed tightly against my chest, listening to the sound of drawers opening and closing, hangers sliding across the rod, the quiet rustle of a life being packed away in pieces. Every sound felt louder than it should have. After about 40 minutes, he came back out with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. His eyes were red, his movements slower, like he was dragging something heavy behind him that no one else could see. Linda, he said softly. I didn't respond. I'm sorry. I looked at him then, really looked at him, and all I could think was how strange it was that someone could look exactly the same and feel like a complete stranger at the same time. You should be, I said quietly. He nodded again, like he deserved that, then walked to the door. For a moment, his hand rested on the handle, hesitating. I could feel it, that pause, like he was waiting for me to stop him. I didn't. The door closed behind him with a soft click. And just like that, 4 years of my life ended in silence. I didn't move for a long time after that. I just stood there, staring at the door, letting everything settle in slow, heavy layers. The anger came first, sharp and consuming. Then the betrayal, deeper, more suffocating. And finally, the heartbreak. Quiet, exhausting, endless. The week after Ethan left blurred together in ways I still can't fully remember. I called off the wedding. That alone felt like tearing something apart with my bare hands, contacting vendors, canceling the venue, explaining to my parents why the man they had welcomed into our family wasn't going to be part of it anymore. My mom cried over the phone. My dad didn't say much, just a long silence, followed by a quiet, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Ethan tried to call me, dozens of times. I ignored every single one. Then came the messages. Long paragraphs filled with apologies, explanations, promises that he was confused, that he made a mistake, that he wanted to fix things. I read a few of them at first, hoping maybe there would be something that made it all make sense. There wasn't, so I blocked his number. About 10 days later, I got a message from someone I didn't expect. Sophie. I almost didn't open it. My thumb hovered over the screen for a long time before curiosity finally won. Hey, Linda, it started. I'm really sorry for everything that happened. I didn't know he was still with you when we started talking. He made it seem like things were already over between you two. If I had known the truth, I never would have agreed to meet him. I read the message twice, then a third time. I told him to fix things with you, she continued. I'm not interested in being with someone who lies or cheats. I hope you're doing okay. I sat there staring at the screen, waiting to feel something. Anger, relief, vindication. But all I felt was tired. It didn't matter what she knew or didn't know. It didn't matter what she said now. Ethan had made his choices, over and over again, and none of them had been me. 2 months passed. I moved out of the apartment. There were too many memories in every corner, too many reminders of a future that no longer existed. I found a smaller place across town, quiet, simple, mine. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe without feeling like something was pressing down on my chest. Through mutual friends, I heard that Ethan and Sophie had tried to make things work. It lasted 3 weeks. Apparently, once the secrecy was gone, once there was nothing left to hide behind, they realized they didn't actually have anything holding them together anymore. No excitement, no tension, just two people trying to recreate something that no longer existed. Part of me thought that was almost poetic. He kept trying to reach out. New numbers, emails, even showing up once outside my building, standing there like he thought persistence would somehow rewrite everything that had already happened. I didn't respond. I didn't go down. I didn't open that door again. There was nothing left to say. One night, my sister asked me if I regretted sending those flowers, if I wished I had handled things differently, if I thought maybe, somehow, ignorance would have been easier. I thought about it for a long time before answering. No, I said finally, because living a lie would have been worse. And I meant it. Some days are still harder than others. I catch myself sometimes, reaching for my phone to text him something small, something meaningless, like a joke or a story about my day, and then I remember. He's not part of my life anymore, but it gets easier. Not all at once, not in some dramatic, life-changing moment. Just slowly, quietly, in the spaces where pain used to live. I don't know if I believe in closure, but if this is what it looks like, I'll take it. Because I know one thing now that I didn't fully understand before. I deserve someone who chooses me, not someone who keeps me as an option while they search for something better. I kept the ring. I know some people would sell it, or return it, or throw it away entirely, but I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe one day I will be, just not today.